What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Raw is live as the WWE prepares for Money in the Bank, so join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes Raw and looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Mike and Maria Kanellis' disappointing announcement, 2 released wrestlers returning and the reason behind them, Jim Ross's controversial comments, and much more. As always, we won't waste your time recapping the matches, but we will look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from last night's show. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Let's waste no further time and get straight into the good, as number 1, Aleister Black cuts a good promo. It was good to hear Aleister Black cut an actual post-match promo, promising to turn every floor of Titan Tower into his opponent's personal hell. Black hasn't been given much time to say anything other than waiting for people to knock on his door, but if he's going to continue moving up the ladder, he needs to improve his mic skills, and the only way to do that is by cutting promos every week. Well, as much as he can, probably not every week. Number 2, putting value on the Money in the Bank match. While fans may not have been overwhelmed by some of Raw's Money in the Bank qualifier winners, the announced team and MVP deserves credit for reminding fans just why the match is so important. With 83% of winners successfully cashing in, who wouldn't want to win the match? The WWE also did a good job building up the novelty of this year's 2 matches, as wrestlers will fight their way up the WWE's corporate headquarters in order to win the match. The brief video showing the ladders on the WWE headquarters roof really made the event look even more compelling. Number 3, the Street Profits synergy. Bianca Belair is a talented superstar who should have a bright future in the WWE if the WWE books her wisely. Things have gotten off on the right foot with the WWE having her work with the Street Profits, which also plays off her marriage to Montez Ford. The trio have chemistry, and not only is Bella getting the rub from the Raw Tag Team Champions, but they're getting something from her presence. Number 4, a moment with Ruby Riott. The WWE has a tendency to ignore the majority of its women's division, but it was good to see the WWE give Ruby Riott time to put herself over and hype her match against Liv Morgan. Like Aleister Black, Riott needs time to grow, and the WWE obviously must have something planned for her if they kept her after Black Wednesday. And number 5, introducing some fresh faces. Last night's Raw didn't seem like a B show, as it had appearances by a number of stars such as Andrade, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, as well as rising stars like the Street Profits, Liv Morgan and Apollo Crews. It also had appearances by a number of NXT performers who served as enhancement talent, who fans have seen before, if they watch NXT that is, and may be interested in seeing them again. It's refreshing to see the WWE use performers besides local talent to get the WWE superstars over. But that was the good. What about the bad is number 1, how to kill a faction. Zelina Vega's new faction was starting to look like it was picking up steam, with Austin Theory and Angel Garza rounding out Vega's original client Andrade. However, Drew McIntyre's beatdown on Andrade, followed by Theory and Garza's refusal to help him, destroyed the faction's credibility. As we discussed last week, the trio shouldn't be facing main eventer McIntyre, as they're just not ready. 22-year-old Austin Theory has been impressive just by the fact that he's already on the Raw roster, although like Angel Garza, he's still listed at WWE.com on the NXT roster. But if the WWE continues to pummel Garza and Theory every week, they may as well return to NXT. Number 2, Apollo Crews' meaningless win. Apollo Crews seems to be getting a push on Raw, but putting him into the Money in the Bank match with a win over MVP wasn't the way to do business. While MVP had a memorable career, if you don't believe us, just listen to the various opponents he discussed beating during his trash talking against Crews, but the fact that MVP was in the qualifier match made 0 sense, and unfortunately it tarnished Crews' win. I guess we shouldn't complain too much, it's nice to see Apollo Crews get any push at all. Number 3, Big Girls Don't Cry Week 2. The WWE's Women's Revolution continues to look weak, as for the second time in a row, Shayna Baszler hurt an opponent, this week Indy Hartwell, making her cry. Just imagine the outcry, no pun intended, if a male superstar was hurt and started crying. They'd laugh about it online and their career would take a huge nosedive. If the WWE's women's division are supposed to be as good as the men, why are they being portrayed as weaker? Number 4, Buddy Murphy's slow death. Pity Buddy Murphy, a superstar who caught a break when fans mistakenly thought he was involved in the Who Tried to Kill Roman Reigns storyline on SmackDown last year, and got some high-profile matches that hinted at his potential for stardom. While Murphy is talented in the ring, his push has been pathetic, as he was the modern-day equivalent of the Red Rooster, with Seth Rollins taking a loser and making him into a tag team champion. We use the word loser in the most loosest sense. The problem is that Murphy hasn't been able to shake off the stigma of being a loser, and tonight's loss to Rey Mysterio only further withered his wrestling career. But that was the bad. What about the downright ugly? Well, there's only one, and it's Nia I Don't Think I'm Dangerous Jax. Now recently, Nia Jax and a few other WWE female superstars were on Paige's Zoom call, and during the chat, Nia Jax told of a story how she was forced to go to higher-ups because Alexa Bliss was getting hurt by a certain wrestler every night. Fans deduced this mystery wrestler to be Ronda Rousey, but it's kinda rich that she'll complain about others but not look at how precarious she herself is in the ring, as she demonstrated last night when she attempted what looked to be a buckle bomb, but by just dumping Kairi Sane next to the turnbuckle where she could have easily hit her head on the way down. It was just downright careless. Now of course, the Twitter world was not too happy with Nia Jax. Twitter user SupersOhMyGod Barbecue tweeted, "We all make mistakes, but when does someone make enough mistakes to take action? Nia Jax is not safe to work with." Another user, Teddy Turnbuckle, tweeted, "Didn't Nia Jax recently tweet about Ronda being unsafe? Truthfully, if she really wasn't The Rock's cousin, she would have been fired by now." Overall, last night's show had its moments, both good and bad, and of course one downright ugly, but the best way to describe it was the equivalent of a sports team's rebuilding year, as they know that they aren't going to win a championship and instead focused on getting better for the future. As mentioned, the WWE put in some big name stars, but they also threw a number of younger stars and relative unknowns out there to see if any of them can connect with the audience. Raw's audience is likely to be bad as long as the empty arena shows continue, but the WWE can use the time to see what catches the fans' interest for the inevitable return to when fans attend the shows. But that was the good, the bad and the downright ugly. Let's move on to the news, as our first story looks at the real reason why WWE rehired a released wrestler. Now it appears that Sarah Logan is one of two recently released WWE superstars who are already back with the company. Logan, who was one of many wrestlers released on Black Wednesday, was mentioned by Ruby Riott last night. Rumour has it that several figures backstage fought hard to get Logan brought back, or as Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com put it, loudly went to bat for her. As we'll see, she's not the only person coming back. Next up, Drake Maverick not done with WWE. Drake Maverick may have been future endeavoured on Black Wednesday, but it appears he's not done with NXT. Drake tweeted, "What are you watching on Wednesday? I'm not done yet." Could the former 6-time 24/7 champion find his way back into the WWE by winning the NXT Cruiserweight Championship? It certainly would be a good way to work in WWE's recent releases into a storyline. Next up, JR's controversial remarks about released wrestlers. Jim Ross knows about hiring talent, having worked as the Vice President of Talent Relations for WWF when it hired some of its biggest stars including Mick Foley and Stone Cold Steve Austin. During a recent episode of The Roman Show, Ross talked about who he would bring into AEW if he had the power, which he does not. On Twitter I get, "What do you think about this? Who should AEW hire? I'm more worried about right now about living to tomorrow. I'm at a high risk for coronavirus. You think I'm concerned about who's getting hired tomorrow? If I were AEW, I would hire nobody. There's no reason to hire anybody tomorrow. These talents that got laid off, I hope none of them go on a massive pity party. Come on man, you think you're the only person in the wrestling business that's been sat down, cast away or taken away from a job? Give me a break." The bottom line is that it's unfortunate. Some people have to wonder why they were let go. There has to be a reason why they were let go. Fans definitely got grumpy Grandpa JR with this interview. What do you guys think? Do you think Jim Ross was putting things into perspective, or was he out of line? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, the kind of disappointing announcement from Micah Maria Kanellis. Okay, to be fair, we weren't expecting like the biggest announcement ever, so I guess we're wrong in this respect. But Micah Maria Kanellis didn't waste any time finding a gig after their recent release from the WWE, as the couple announced last night on Twitter that they will be hosting their own podcast which airs after Raw. Wrestling Inc. reported, former WWE superstars Micah Maria Kanellis have announced their new Non-Essential Wrestlers podcast. The podcast will premiere after Raw via the Fan of Media platform. The description for the podcast reads like this: Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis talk professional wrestling and poopy diapers. With so many wrestling podcasts available, Mr. and Mrs. Kanellis will have their work cut out for them if they want to stand out from the competition. Are you guys interested in this podcast? Let us know in the comments down below. And finally, why you shouldn't play World of Warcraft during a WWE writers meeting. Well, last but not least, the WWE has had a number of Hollywood writers, but Hollywood stars? Now, fans may not remember that actor Freddie Prinze Jr., who is a big wrestling fan, was actually a WWE writer, quite the experience according to the star of Scooby-Doo and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Appearing on the New Day's podcast, Prince recalled his time in the WWE. My first stint there, it was full on writer's room every day, and then to every single TV, and it was crazy. I was not built for that business, that schedule, that lifestyle, and I couldn't hack it and eventually had to tap out. The WWE's work schedule has been known to break people down, with writers working into the wee hours of the morning as they scramble to find that magic script for Mr. McMahon, oftentimes with Vince scrapping it at the last minute. Freddie recalled an awkward moment when he was playing World of Warcraft while working via teleconference with the WWE chairman. And then my dwarf was in a raid. He was this dwarfen priest, and I just was in the middle of my moment, so I wasn't thinking about the work call anymore. I was in my apartment, so I hit the /charge, which is like an emoji for people who don't know. Only this one in particular, your dwarf would actually speak, and it was like this battle cry. So Vince said, "What the hell was that?" Now, we have heard some great stories about life as a WWE writer, but this one is definitely in our top 5. Do you think Vince even knew what World of Warcraft was? But there you have it, guys, the good, the bad and the downright ugly from the 20th April edition of Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumours you need to know. What do you guys think? Should Nia Jax be fired or be sent down to developmental? Is she ultimately too careless in the ring? Subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.